Hey, what to do, sports world? Welcome to the Real Untouchable podcast with me, Ray Diggs. I got a great segment for you all. I want to talk about the NBA playoffs. We finally got it set. The NBA Finals is set. We got the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics will meet for the NBA title, man. And this right here is going to be a hell of a series, I think. But listen, before I get started, man, make sure y'all hit the like button, the subscribe button, and also the share button. And make sure you all give me your feedback on what you all think about this segment. But yes, I want to talk about the NBA playoffs. The NBA Finals is set. The Dallas Mavericks um, won last night in a convincing win, and now they will finally meet off against the Boston Celtics. They won last night, 124 to 103. It was a pretty much slapping. They pretty much dominated them all over this game, pretty much destroyed the Minnesota Timberwolves. I honestly feel like the Minnesota Timberwolves did not even feel like playing. They came out there in the first quarter, pretty much went down by 20, and the game was pretty much over with from there. Okay. And when you look at it, when I look at this game, I look at Luka Doncic, I look at Kyrie Irving. These right here, these two dudes pretty much did everything. It was pretty much Luka Doncic who was named the Magic Johnson Eastern Conference Player of the series. Both of them came out there and both of them had 36 points. So this just tell you how dynamic this duo is. When both of these dudes can come out here, I honestly feel. And then when you look at Gafford had 11 points, 9 rebounds. You look at PJ Washington had 12 and 7. So when you got 36 from your two stars, and you get two other players in double figures, you probably in big trouble. You probably in big doo-doo then. Okay, then when we look at Carter Anthony Town was 9 for 20, nothing in, 28 points, 12 rebounds. And I just don't know what's up with Anthony Edwards, man. He came out here, he was only 10 for 18. That's right here why I never wanted nobody to compare him to Michael Jordan. Because first of all, you don't shoot enough. That's the first thing. Okay. It ain't no way in an elimination game Michael Jordan gonna come out there and give you 28 points, shooting the ball 18 times. You're gonna have to add at least 10 more shots onto that, maybe even 15. Okay. Michael Jordan probably would have shot it at least between 28 and 35 times. This game, especially in an elimination game. Okay. That's right there why I did not like the comparison. I did not like them comparing him to Michael Jeffrey Jordan. But they just continued to go, and they basically got nothing from their bench. Okay, they bench pretty much did absolutely nothing. Mike Conley Jr. did nothing. McDaniels did nothing. Rudy Gobert did absolutely nothing. Okay, all of these dudes right here pretty much did nothing for this team, and that is the reason why they are going home. Okay, when you look back at this game, I think that they just wanted to win game 4. That's when they won 105 to 100. Okay, but let's go to the Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics pretty much sweeping the Indiana Pacers, sweeping them in 4 games. I said that most likely it was going to be a sweep, and that's what happened. But the Boston Celtics was down in most of these games. They was down in this game. They came back. They won the game. Now they're heading to the NBA championship. And how do these two teams match up? I'm going to talk about it. The series does not start until when? Let's see. It starts on Wednesday. So, well, actually, Sunday. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Well, actually, it starts Thursday. It starts Thursday. Game 1 is Thursday. So that's right here when the NBA Finals finally starts on Thursday. So I will be talking about more about this series, more about this game, more about these games as the series get closer. Who holds the edge? Why I think Boston and Dallas. Even though I kind of picked the Minnesota Timberwolves to get here, I'm not surprised that the Dallas Mavericks got here. Just watching the Minnesota Timberwolves, like I said, they got defeated in the first game. I honestly feel like in the second game, the Dallas Mavericks, in game 1, the Dallas Mavericks took that game. In game 2, the Minnesota Timberwolves gave that game away. They was up by 2 with only 12 seconds to go, and threw the ball out of bounds, give the ball back to the Mavs, and that's when Luka came out and hit the 3. Now, if they win that game, the series is 1-1. They go down there, they win 1, they lose game 3, win game 4, come back, and they win game 5. Now the series right now is 3-2. They getting ready to head back right now to Dallas for game 6. if they take care of business in game 2. But because they did, that is the reason why they're at home right now. Anthony Edwards said a bunch of questionable things. I did not like it. I just didn't like it. I didn't like a lot of things that he said. He said that he did not, train his body for a third round. I couldn't imagine a young star saying this, that you didn't train your body for a long run, the long deep run in the playoff. I didn't like that. You came out flat in game 5. Honestly, like you was okay with just winning one game. I didn't like that. I don't feel like that was a superstar. And I was telling somebody this right here, when he was taking care of the Denver Nuggets, I said, listen, he's close to being starter. But this right here pretty much kept him in star status. That kept him in star status. It didn't put him into that superstar. It didn't propel him into the superstar status. I think it just didn't. But like I said, it's always next season. You're 22 years old. I think that some of the things he say, somebody needs to teach him not to say this. And I like his confidence. He's a very confident person. But a lot of things that I didn't agree with, that he said, I wouldn't have said it. But he's not me. Okay. But getting ready for the NBA finals, like I said, it begins Thursday, June 6th. The Dallas Mavericks versus the Boston Celtics. They will be going to Boston for game 1 and game 2. What do this mean? Kyrie Irving will return back to Boston again. Now, we pretty much know what happens the last time he was in Boston. They pretty much booed him to where you could not be booed anymore. They said everything that they can possibly say to a player. Do I think that this is going to happen this time? I do think it's going to happen this time. I think that the Boston Celtics fans are going to hackle him the entire game. I'm talking about every single time he touches this ball. I think the Boston Celtics fans are going to pretty much hackle him. They're going to hackle the hell out of him. And they have the right to, because honestly, I didn't agree with how he left the Boston Celtics, but maybe he wasn't happy in Boston. And I think that if Kristaps Porzingis, as I'm seeing right here, Kristaps Porzingis is getting better. Now he's been doing on court preparation. Will he be ready for the NBA finals? I don't know. They're gonna need him though. And like I said, sometimes it's gonna come down to who is the more healthier team. Who's the more healthier team at that time? So if the Boston Celtics are missing Kristaps Porzingis, that's going to be a big part of their team. But if they got Kristaps Porzingis and he's healthy, I honestly think that the Boston Celtics are about to be holding up an NBA title. That's just my opinion. Because when you put Kristaps Porzingis in there and you bring Al Horford off the bench, or you put Kristaps Porzingis in there and bring Derrick White off the bench, that makes your bench even more better because now you have a scorer that comes off the bench, which is Derrick White. You got Kristaps Porzingis and you got Al Horford in the starting lineup as the bigs, and then you have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and you got Jrue Holiday. Like, you have players. Now, the Boston Celtics are coming into game 1 as a 6.5 point favorite. Do I think that's too much? I don't know. When it comes down to Boston, honestly, Boston is one of those teams that you just never know. You just never know with them. One game they come out and they dominate. One game they come out and you act like who the hell is this team? Like in game 1, they let the Pacers stay around, pretty much beat them, and they beat them in the end. But then game 2 to come out there, Jaylen Brown go for 40, dominate. Game 3, the same thing. They was down 18. Al Horford hit like 8-9 threes. Jason Tatum went for 36, I think. They came back. Well, Jrue Holiday had a good defensive game, and then they ended up had to come back and win that game because the Indiana Pacers just couldn't miss. But they came back and they won that game. Then game 4, they losing again. Then they finally got their stuff together, and then they finally come back to win the game. So when it comes down to this Boston Celtics team, you really never know. They can come out here and they can come out there and they can beat the Boston Celtics that you've been watching all year, or they can come out there and they be the Boston Celtics that you've been watching in some of these games, in a lot of these games, where they come out and they play down to their potential. I tell everybody, man, the Boston Celtics play down to their potential. If they feel like they're gonna blow you out, just like they did with the Cleveland Cavaliers, they felt like they knew that they could beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's why they came out there. They didn't feel like the Cleveland Cavaliers was on their level. I think they're gonna look on the other side and they're gonna see the Dallas Mavericks. Yeah, this team is on our level. They got two players over there that can go bunk, that can go for 30, 40 points. So we need to be on our best behavior and we need to play our best game. And I think that the Boston Celtics will do that. I think the Dallas Mavericks are going to play a hell of a series. There's going to be a hell of a series. I expect for this series to go 6 or 7 games. I would be very surprised if this right here is a 5-game series. Definitely would be very surprised if it's a 4-game series. But I think that these two teams right here match up really, really good. I think this is right. It's going to be a hell of a series between the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics. Like I said, when you look at these two teams, they match up really, really well. PJ Washington on the Mavs. You got Luka Doncic. You got Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington. You got Luka. You got what's his name? Kyrie. And if Derek Lively comes back, that's gonna be even better. Because now you got your big center back, 7'1". So now you got somebody that can actually match up with Kristaps Porzingis. So I think that this right here can be a really, really good. This right here can be a really good series if the teams are healthy. Now, if they're missing Lively, and the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics is missing Kristaps Porzingis, this right can be a very interesting series. Just being real. But I do think that the Boston Celtics have bodies to throw at Kyrie. They got bodies to throw at Luka Doncic. Even though I think that this right here is the first series that I've seen that the Dallas Mavericks will have to play defense. I was telling my partner this right here today. I just think that the Dallas Mavericks are going to have to play defense. This is the first series that they will have to play defense. Because when everybody talk about the Dallas Mavericks, everybody talk about, when we look at both brackets, when we look at the brackets, we got to think about this. Let's go back. Let's go back to the first round. Dallas Mavericks played against who? They played against the Dallas Mavericks played against the LA Clippers. Who was LA Clippers missing? The LA Clippers was missing who? They was missing Kawhi Leonard. Okay, so they was missing a star. So, he played maybe I think he played like 2 games, but the Mavericks ended up winning that series. They won that series 4-2. Then when they played against the Dallas Mavericks played against the OKC Thunder, they won that series 4-2. But you're talking about a really, really young team. Like we're talking about a really young team in the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then the Dallas Mavericks played against the Minnesota Timberwolves, which they won that series right there 4-1. Now the Minnesota Timberwolves, I can't make no excuse for that team. They beat the brakes off of them. Now we go back to Dallas. We go back to the Boston Celtics. The first round they played against the Miami Heat. They won that series 4-1. Then they played against the Cavs. They won that series 4-1. But everybody know that they was pretty much missing 2 of their big name players. But also when you go back to the Mavs were playing against them without one of their best players. And then the second round they played against a really, really young team in the Oklahoma City Thunder, which I just think that team, they was just overmatched by them. Like honestly, the Oklahoma City Thunder, they're young, but they was like one of those teams like you like, okay, they're number 1 seed, but we don't have the number 1 seed. Like they didn't strike fear like normal number 1 seeds strike fear in team. Like let's be real. If the Denver Nuggets ended up winning that first round, if they ended up getting that first round, that number 1 seed, and they meet against the Pelicans the first round, or the Mavs the second round, I honestly think that the Denver Nuggets probably beat the Dallas Mavericks. Let's be real. I just think that the Minnesota Timberwolves had the Denver Nuggets number. That's just my opinion. But then when you look at it, they beat the Pacers 4-0. So when you look at both of these teams, and people say, man, yeah, I can't really respect the Celtics because it's like everybody been injured. Let's go back a few years ago. I remember when the Golden State Warriors won the NBA title, and it seemed like everybody was out. They played against the Houston Rockets. Hey, who was out? Chris Paul was out. They met against the Cleveland Cavaliers. They was missing 2 players. Okay, so they won a championship. Though I watched the Warriors win a championship because the other team's best player wasn't there. So let's not try to hold this against the Boston Celtics if they get there and win an NBA championship. But like I said, we got it. The number 1 seed, Boston Celtics, they're the number 1 overall seed, Boston Celtics, against the number 5 seed, Dallas Mavericks. These two teams will get it on Thursday in the NBA Finals. Will the lights be too big for Luka Doncic? Will the lights be too big for the rest of those youngsters, of PJ Washington and the rest of those boys? Okay, we know that the Boston Celtics has been here before. They was here last year, so we know that they can be here and try to win an NBA title. So when we look at both of these teams, we just got to understand: is it time for the Boston Celtics and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to get over that hump? I'll give y'all my predictions later on in the week. But like I said before, the Minnesota Timberwolves was defeated by Mavericks 124-103. And they're pretty much going home. And also with the Boston Celtics defeat the Indiana Pacers 105-102 to sweep that series and go to the NBA Finals. And they would not meet the Dallas Mavericks for a chance to hang up another banner and a very storied franchise of the Boston Celtics. And Dallas can finally win another championship. Will be their first championship with Luka Doncic, and also would be Kyrie Irving's second championship, but it would be his first championship with him being the guy, the man. I would say, he's 1B with Luka 1A. So this right here would be the first time that he's that dude. He's on the level with the star. When he won with LeBron, he wasn't really on the level with LeBron. He was he was a star, but he wasn't superstar. Now he's a superstar, and him and Kyrie, him and Luka Doncic are 1A, 1B. And if he win this right here would be one of the biggest accomplishments for Kyrie Irving with everything that he's went through. And like I said, if he wins, he wins. I don't have a dog in the fight. Everybody that know me know I used to be a really, really big Dallas Mavericks fan when Dirk Nowitzki was there, Steve Nash, Michael Finley. That was my team. But when they got rid of Steve Nash, Michael Finley, I pretty much got away from them. But I still, got them in my heart. They're a good team. I like them a little bit. But in the end, I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't care who wins. But I will be talking about this a little bit more as the game get closer. We're going to talk about what's going to happen with this team, with this series, what could happen. I'm going to break down all scenarios on how I think this thing right here can play out. So make sure y'all tune in. Until next time, y'all have a great, great Friday night. And I'll see you all again for the next episode of the Real Untouchable Podcast with me, Ray Diggs. Peace.